In this video, I'm going to use a Topcon LN-150 kit and Topcon digital layout software to lay out some footings for a building. And the point of this video is to give you an idea of how digital layout works from start to finish, as in setting up the instrument and then laying out. So it's definitely different than using string lines, and in my opinion, it's a lot easier because you can go straight to the point. And I'm going to show that you only need one person. So I set up the tripod, I leveled it just by eyeballing it, put the instrument on there, stuck the battery in the instrument, and turned it on. It's self-leveling at this moment. Then on the controller, I'm going into the job we're working on, and first thing I'm going to do is connect the controller to the instrument. Okay, so now that the controller is connected to the instrument, the next step is to set up the instrument. So we're going to go into the job, then we're going to go to set up instrument, and it'll be set up anywhere. So now we're measuring our known points, and we're going to measure our first known point. I use known point monuments, and I've got these prism mounts on them. So I'm just taking off my prism, and I'm going to set the prism into the mount, take the shot, and then remove the prism and go to the next known point monument. Now I'm going to turn the instrument guide light on and go into remote control. And I'm going to turn the instrument towards my direction and lock it on to the prism. The point of this instrument setup routine is so that the instrument can figure out where it's at on the plans and you could start laying out. So the first thing you want to do in this case is we're going to tell it that we are measuring a known point, which is CP1. So tell it the point, make sure it's tracking the prism, and then we hit save. All right, now we're going to go measure a second point. And in this demonstration, we're going to measure 4 points to get started. So this next point we're going to measure is CP5. And remember, we need to tell it the point we're about to measure, make sure the instrument is tracking the prism, and then take the shot. Those are the 3 steps when trying to take a shot during setup. So I had to reacquire the prism because it lost me when I was walking over there. So prior to making this video, I've already established control, and that's why I can use these known point monuments to set up. But if this was the very first day I was here, I would establish control, which is basically set up on the surveyor's points, and then save points on these known point monuments you build, which are out of the way and last a lot longer and are more accurate. Okay, so we just measured the second point, and now we're going to measure the third point, which is CP4. And we're going to go shoot the fourth point. This last point is called CP3, and we're going to take the shot. And then I'm going to click on Finish Setup so I can review the residuals. Alright, so we just set the instrument up horizontally. We've got an 1/8 inch error, which isn't too bad because I set up these monuments about 2 months ago, so they're still pretty good. Now we're going to adjust the elevation. Basically, we're going to tell the instrument where it is vertically. Alright, so I'm simulating that this is the finished floor elevation benchmark set by the surveyor, and we're going to set it as 0. Now the instrument needs to know the measurement from the prism to the tip of the pole. and I've got it set to 5 feet. So I'm just going to type that in, and then we're going to take the shot. Now I'm going to hit finish setup, and I'm ready to go lay out these footings now. Now, when you're laying out points, you want to be facing the instrument because the directions to get to the point that it's going to be telling you to do will be in reference from the instrument. So it'll say go away from the instrument, go to the instrument, go left, right, but that's all as if you're facing the instrument. Now I'm in the layout points routine, and I'm just going to start laying out the nearest footing point. So basically, like I said, I'm laying out footings, and once I lay out one and save it, it'll cycle to the next nearest point. As I'm laying out, you'll notice I'm rotating the background drawing so that it's aligned with how it is on the ground. The trick to doing this is you rotate the plan until that red dashed line is going straight north on the screen, so it's pointing towards the top of the screen. Or another way to think about it is aligned with the top of your crosshair. And the crosshair is your current position, and that red line points to the instrument. This is important to do so that your to, from, and left, right indicators make sense. If you see a number on the left side of your current position crosshair, that means you need to go left. Or if you see it on the right, you need to go right, whatever the measurement is. If you see it on the bottom of the crosshair, that means go back, go away from the instrument. If you see it at the top of the crosshair, go towards the instrument. And that'll get you closer to the point. So there's kind of a flow to how you do this. So first, it's really important that you plumb up your pole. So use the bubble vial and you just center the bubble within the vial. That means that your numbers will be accurate. Then you look down at your numbers, see how much you need to move. Then you look down at the tip of the pole and move it that amount. And that's kind of like one iteration. Then you look back at the bubble vial and you recenter it. Now you can look at the numbers again and see how much more you need to move it this time. Then you look down at the tip of the pole and move it that much. And you'll work your way in to being right over top of that point. And at that point, you're going to go ahead and save the shot if you're within your tolerances. All right, you'll notice I ditched my bipod, and that's because I've got my drone controller around my neck and I'm trying to fly the drone and lay out, and I just had too much stuff around me. So I got rid of it. But that's okay because there's a feature on this software where you can just freeze your data. And it basically acts like a digital bipod. So once you get the bubble vial centered, you press a key on the controller and press and hold it, and it freezes the data. That way you can look at the numbers, and then you can release the button when you've got a good grasp on the numbers. So if you see the screen changing and it just shows big numbers in black boxes, that's me pressing the freeze button so I can look at the numbers while I'm looking at the bubble. So as I got the bubble centered, I'll press that button and look at the numbers. Another thing I want to point out is you'll see that the real-time elevation is turned on at the top left of the screen, and that should be giving me my current elevation. Now, if you remember, we zeroed on the finished floor benchmark. The problem is I messed up when I was filming this, and I apologize. I forgot to change the target height. Down at the bottom of the screen where there's the target and it says 0 foot 0 inches, I was supposed to change this to 5 feet, which is the height of my pole right now. If I had done that, then the elevation readout at the top left would be accurate. So just something to watch out for if you're laying out and you're doing elevations. Just make sure your target height's correct. The other cool thing about that real-time elevation is I didn't have to set on a benchmark and say it was 0 feet 0 inches. I could have said the actual elevation. And like, let's say that benchmark I set up on was 350 feet. Then as I'm walking around, it would tell me my actual elevation based on that. So it would be like 351 feet 6 inches or whatever, and you would see it moving as you set the pole down. So that's pretty cool to always know your exact elevation. All right, all that being said, I'm going to stop talking now and you could just watch the rest of the video. I'll be finishing laying out these points. Then I'm going to lay out a little bit of the lines in between on the long stretches so that I can pull a line across there and mark it. And then finally I'll connect all the dots and fly over and you'll see the finished product, which is the footings are laid out.